Okay, so recently there was new information that came out regarding the NFL Bullygate scandal that rocked the league, particularly the Miami Dolphins, back in 2013. The story centered around a group of Miami offensive linemen, most notably Richie Incognito, John Jerry, and Marquise Pouncey, as they allegedly bullied their teammate Jonathan Martin, who was in his second year. Richie suffered a lot as he missed the remainder of the 2013 season due to suspension and was unable to sign with the NFL team for the 2014 season as he was deemed radioactive. His reputation as a bully meant teams were hesitant on signing him, but eventually he signed with Buffalo in 2015, but the damage was done to his reputation and had a profound impact on his career. That said, an ESPN report recently came out where the accuser Jonathan Martin claimed in an interview that he felt that he was never bullied at all and that it was more so his mother trying to protect her son. Basically, Martin wasn't very good in his position and took a lot of heat from his teammates. Some of the stuff he experienced was pretty vulgar and racist, but this was the culture in the Dolphins locker room at the time, and they allowed Richie and his linemen to get away with this type of behavior. In fact, when the story broke, most of Richie Incognito's teammates all stuck up for him and saw no issues with how he treated his teammates. Anyways, with that said, I want you to listen to Ryan Clark, Fred Taylor, and Channing Crowder's reaction to this new information in the Bullygate scandal.
That was his thing. He wanted to be a bully. He wanted to be the alpha male and all. But to the point about Jonathan Martin, I'm upset that he took so long to come out and tell the truth. You cannot be bullied as a grown-ass man in the locker room. You're a grown man. You can get bullied down from like the superiors or whatever. You've seen it, with businesses. But as a teammate to teammate, bro, we just gotta lock up. And I know it sounds barbaric. I know it sounds whatever. You're not gonna sit and treat me like a child or do something to me I don't want you to do. And we're the same person. We're both offensive guards on this team. We both O-linemen. Richie personality and Jonathan Martin's personality didn't vibe. Mm-hmm. Jonathan Martin was a private school kid. Where did he go to Stanford or Yale or something like that?
Went to
Stanford. And Richie was a dog. Richie was a down, dirty, nasty type player, and they didn't vibe. But the word bullying, I think the way it was painted, Bullygate, and I think that's why it blew up, because everybody thinks of bullying and it's bad. You think of the kids, you think of that. I can't look at a grown-ass 350-pound man and say he was bullied. I never will, and I'm glad Jonathan Martin, if it took him a decade to do it, it took him a decade to do it. But you can't be bullied in a locker room. That's a locker room. It's a hierarchy, and Richie was trying to prove his thing, and Jonathan Martin should have came back up to the plate, and if they had to lock up, they had to lock up. But that's what it is, man. I was about to say, because Richie is an asshole. Like, everybody knows that. If you've ever been around Richie, you're an asshole. But he's not a bully. Speaking about the NFL, though, Fred, it's different. And I don't care if people want to admit it or not. Like, you bring up the world. You bring up what's going on, like, in the show business and all that stuff. It is different. There's powerful people taking advantage of people trying to climb the mountain. Fred, do you want to play with a dude that can get bullied? This is that you say machismo and manhood and all. I do not want to be in the locker room with a dude that'll let another man, because now we out there in the fourth quarter. You bloody, I'm tired, you tired. And now he says something to you that hurt your feelings. Bro, we gotta go win.
Okay, so that was what Channing Crowder had to say about the situation, and I kind of mostly agree with what he's saying. He didn't beat around the bush. He flat out said Richie Incognito is a dick, and I don't think anyone would have a hard time disagreeing. But he did say that what Richie did didn't constitute as bullying in his opinion, and that this is football, a sport dominated by alpha males who are going to test their limits within their surroundings. And I think Channing Crowder brought up a good point when he said that Richie and Jonathan just grew up very differently. Jonathan Martin attended private school during his adolescence and then went to Stanford and came from a family where education was a primary focus. Anyways, I'm now going to play you Fred Taylor's response and then Ryan Clark's.
I don't want to say it's like when a woman falsely accuses a man of like raping them or something like that, but it's right there, because the accused actually is the real victim. Mm-hmm. And this is the case, and I believe this is the case in all of this. Richie actually became the victim, for me at least.
Now, what upsets me about Jonathan Martin is he's now trying to regain his life, because people will forever look at him like the 330-pound man that got bullied, right? And he doesn't want that anymore. He feels like he's strong enough now. But you let Richie Incognito not only be thought of as a bully, and I never looked at it that way, right? The first thing I thought was, at some point, listen, ass whippings happen, but you can't be scared to take a loss. If it's that bad and you feel that way, then you got to stand up and show you can't treat me like this forever. That was my thought. His father, though, Gus Martin, in the story that they wrote, he played a voicemail, and so they transcribe it. And when it's transcribed, it says, "Hey, what's up, you half nigger piece of shit. I saw you on Twitter. You've been training 10 weeks. I'll your mouth. I'm going to slap your mouth. I'm going to slap your real mother across the face." He laughed. You're still a rookie. Now, when you read it, it doesn't give you tone, right? It doesn't give you intent, right? And so for me, I know no white man ever walking the face of the earth can think it's cool to joke with me like that, use the word like that, use the word at all without us having an issue. For Jonathan Martin, that wasn't a problem. And so now, though, when you say these things, and when I read the Ted Wells report, I'm like, not only is he a bully, he's an effing racist. And that's hard to kick. And that man lost a year for that. Now, I don't believe that this behavior should take place. I don't believe you should treat your friends that he said I was a mentor. You shouldn't treat your friends like that. You shouldn't treat your mentees like that. You shouldn't treat your youngins like that. But we all know there is a rite of passage in the way that you are treated in this league because somebody treated us like that, right? And then we learn from our OGs how we're going to treat the next person. And so the only thing for me is, yes, Richie Incognito, you was an asshole. And Richie Incognito, you treated this man in some way unfairly based on what he had the capabilities of handling. And then Jonathan Martin on the other side of it, you should have handled it in a better way. You should have handled it in a different way. But I'm also old enough to understand that not everybody is emotionally equipped for it. And so now you have this whole thing that Jonathan Martin now wants to go take his life back. And I believe we should allow him to take his life back. But who gives Richie Incognito his life back? I don't like him. I ain't gotta like him. But this is still just a situation of showing you have to be and work to be emotionally mature enough, mentally mature enough, in whatever capacity you are living life and trying to find a career to not implode, which explodes the people around you. And I think it's a learning lesson.
Okay, so I'm going to be pretty honest here. I'm actually shocked that all three of these guys were pretty much in agreement that Jonathan Martin effed up on this incident. Fred Taylor and Channing Crowder both agree that Richie was the real victim in this scandal because of how the league handled it and made him the scapegoat. However, RC didn't see Richie as a victim, but nonetheless, he did agree what Martin did was wrong and was happy that he finally came out, even if it took him a decade. Anyways, guys, what do y'all think about what these three had to say on this matter, and what do you make of Jonathan's recent interview?